Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Party on Broad. It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Joining me today is my man Tyson. Follow him on Twitter at Quibel Tyson. Check out his top 100 NHL draft prospect rankings. So good. How you doing, Tyson?
I'm doing all right, surviving the heat.
Me too, man. Today we are talking about Tyson's number 4 Flyers prospect in the farm system, 20-year-old Igor Zamula. We are going to review his season in 2019 and 2020. We're going to talk about his strengths. We're going to talk about his weaknesses. And we're going to talk about how he projects moving forward with the Philadelphia Flyers. Egor Zamula was undrafted and signed back in 2018. He's a 20-year-old defenseman, oozing with talent. Tyson, tell us a little bit about Igor Zamula and how he performed last year, man.
Yeah, so he's another Ron Hextall gem in that during Hextall's tenure, he would find these bigger defensemen that maybe didn't have a great year their draft year, so they would go undrafted. And then in his mind, they were at a high-level prospect, and he signed him. So that was what Phil Myers is, who's now a Flyers regular. He was unsigned. And there's a huge similarity between these two players because Zamula is built almost identically. He's this tall, kind of lanky guy that you looked at as your drafter and were like, I see some potential here, but, I don't know. And it's always worth it if you have the contract space in your 50 contracts you can carry to pick up someone like this. It's just a freebie. Yep. So it's just a genius move by Hextall to know him well enough to say, I want to take this guy, to now every Flyers prospect list I've seen has him in the top 10. So that tells you, that's a freebie. You use a draft pick. But in terms of this season, he had a really good season, put up amazing offensive numbers. Unfortunately, his season also ended early, I believe, because of injury. But that's kind of the first time that's happened in his career, so it's not so much of a red flag. But he's a tall, lanky player, very tall, very lanky, you can tell. Beautiful skating stride, just has this long skating stride, which is super fun to watch. And he's highly skilled offensively. So he, at the World Juniors, ran the power play for the Russian team. And it was amazing to watch him. He was like their quarterback basically back there. So he was setting up everything from the back end. And with a player like him that's big, I'm always harder on those types of players. And one of the reasons is because I feel like oftentimes we can revert to the fact they're big to cover a weakness. And in his case, at least offensively, that's not true. So he uses his size really well to open up space. So there's been some really fun times when I've watched him in games where he will cut in the middle like a smaller skilled player and use his reach to get around someone to set up a play. And so that's an extremely a good skill to have. He also just has a really great slap shot, really good shot that's evident as well. So those are some of his strengths that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, piggyback off that. You obviously the 6'3" size, man. That's definitely the main kind of stuff. Any other strengths about this guy you want to touch on before we go into weaknesses?
Yeah, he's good on stretch passes. He's good at passes out of the zone, and he's diverse in his offensive ability in that he can either carry or pass. And so that's always a high level of skill that you like to see in offensive-minded players, in that he's willing to do both. So he can be that guy that hangs out on the blue line and just makes quick passes, or he can be the guy that carries it in the zone. There's just this diversity of tools that you really like to see.
All right, let's talk about weaknesses. Tyson, what are some of the main areas of weakness for Mr. Igor Zamula?
Yeah, so one would be honestly like defensive awareness. And so he is so skilled offensively. That's some of the knock, is that he just wants the puck on his stick. He wants to be making that play, making that pass. So there's some times when he'll make a pinch, for example, on the offensive zone that he shouldn't, because he wants to keep the offense and the puck in the offensive zone. And so that's been at times problematic at the junior level. I saw that when seeing him play live in the WHL in the past. There was somewhat of an issue where you just would kind of see these times and you're like, oh man, I see the offensive ability, but dude, you did not see that guy behind you. How did you miss that? And so those are things that are improving. but he just needs to have a better understanding of that. I think I would personally like to see him use his size and strength more to his advantage. And I don't mean just truck guys over. Like there's big defensemen in the NHL that just are just not going to do that. A lot of these more modern defensemen, you're going to see more and more come in the league. They'll be 6'3", 6'4". They'll be fast, and you will never see them take anybody's heads off. They'll just be lifting sticks. But I just like to see, at least in a bigger player, like use that size, use that reach, in particular defensively. Like use it to break up plays. Like use your if you have that size, it's an advantage. It's when I played, I wished I had size. You had to constantly just be running, like trying to lift sticks, like get in places. And for that, as someone that big, you would love to see him just utilize that more to his advantage. And so again, that's going to come with maturity. He will make the jump next year into pro, so he'll likely be in Lehigh next year. And so hopefully the coaches at the pro level will help with that. But his developmental curve has been insane. I mean, this year in particular, we went from this kind of slow progression of like, oh, this looks like a decent free agent signing to, whoa, this is a toolkit we did not expect in this level. So again, these weaknesses are all things that can be worked out, I think, with just good coaching and time.
Just another prospect in the Flyers farm system that is just, on that learning curve. The Flyers farm system is so rich. Let's talk about 2020 projection and outlook moving forward. What do you expect from Igor Zamula, dude, in 2020? And is there a chance he could lace up with the Flyers next season?
There's a very, very, I would say less than 5% chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I'd say less than 5%. It would be surprising to me. Sometimes, kind of like fast players, if you're big, sometimes teams will give you a shot. The Flyers will have a potential hole on the third pairing with Justin Braun's a free agent. I don't know if they decided what to do with that. There's still the Shane Gostisbehere rumors of potentially being traded out. I read some more this week. So there's room for movement defensively, but I think the Flyers would prefer to sign older free agents than use a younger defenseman in their system, especially because Myers made the jump this year. I don't think they see someone else making that jump in the same way. And so I highly doubt he'll be in the NHL next season. He could potentially be a call-up, but I actually am projecting it's going to be a difficult transition year for him. I think that if we see him get close to 30 points at the AHL level, even as an offensively minded defenseman, that would be good. It also wouldn't surprise me to see him in like a third pairing role in Lehigh for a good chunk of the year. He's just on this slower developmental curve. Obviously, he went up a lot more this year, but there's just kinks in his game he's got to work out that is just going to take some time. And so my ranking at him 4 is because in terms of ceiling, like if he's like a 24, 25-year-old defenseman, I could see him being a power play quarterback and a second pairing top 4 defender easily with his toolkit if everything goes as planned. It's just going to take time and patience and just this kind of relearning and discovering what it's going to look like to play this defensive game. Because I think we're going to see, even in Lehigh, again, just the different change of pace. I mean, he's big for his league. So if he's going up against a big forward, it wouldn't surprise me to see some guys blow past him. So it's just going to take some time for him to figure that out.
We touched a little bit on how rich the Flyers farm system is, and we talked about, could there be you talked about trades, and I just want to, last question before we wrap it up, is there a chance the Flyers consolidate all of these guys? And when you look at how deep the Flyers are on defense, is this one of those guys, man, that could be moved in a potential trade?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think teams would value him for sure. I'm not sure organizationally the Flyers want to, because they see the potential. So the thing will be, again, cap space. Like, we're still in this weird place of not knowing what the cap will be like next year. Before COVID, we were expecting a pretty big spike. So $3 to $4 million spike, which is really, if you're talking even defensemen, like 3-4 defender type of deal, second pairing guy, potentially being able to make that. So it adds space, and they don't have a whole lot of guys they got to re-sign per se, but the issue just becomes, is it going to go up? And what you could do, but he could be a piece for them to move. And I'm just not sure. Again, this is a weird one too, depending on when the draft is.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to see the talk right now potentially is still to do the draft after, but we're still not entirely sure of how this is going to play out. So there may not be as much movement there. And the other thing would be as well, what teams are in cap crunches that want prospects are rebuilding right now. So that's especially with a season where teams have lost a lot of money because of games. I think teams like bubble teams like a Buffalo, Jack Eichel was in the media this week. He was mad, like that they're on the outside looking in, like they barely missed that cutoff to be able to play. And he's like, I got to start off-season training. I'm so mad. I'm so tired of this. I've been doing this for 5 years now. You know, this is ridiculous. And so a team like Buffalo is scared. Like they need to make revenue. They should be in a partial rebuild mode. They've been constantly in. They're not going to do it. So same with the Blackhawks. They've been in this place for a while. They're going to continue. They want revenue. So I don't know. I've been trying to rack my brain of players the Flyers could trade for in the offseason. And unless it's someone disgruntled, it might be a little bit harder than we think. But yes, he could be in that package. Sorry, long answer.
That is my man Tyson. Follow him on Twitter at QuaiBalTyson. Check out his top 100 NHL draft prospect rankings. The draft is coming up, and make sure you check it out at thepaintedlines.com. For Tyson, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me get a hell yeah!